how many know that when you have a purpose and a calling on your life, there's nothing that nobody, and nothing can happen? I am Angela C. Wright.
Over the top, the gotcha.
Oh, he said your numbers has shrunk. He said, I don't know how, why.
You're not gonna get. Listen, you're gonna have to have mounds of security for me because you're not gonna get me.
If I wasn't depressed and going through what I was going through, I probably would have never started.
Hey y'all, welcome to another dope episode of Break Free Podcast with your girl Free. And today I have my dark skinned sister, Chocolate Girls is winning, Miss Jameeka Banks, aka JB. Hey.
Hey, boo.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you look super cute.
I had to match your fly, boo. I had to match your fly because I know you put on. You put it on.
You know how us city girls do.
Yes.
Yeah, us city girls get it in. Yeah. So how was the ride? Traffic was bad?
Traffic was terrible. This is Atlanta. I'm used to it by now, but it was decent.
I was in the car today. Where was I going? Oh, I was going to get my hair done. And this is at like 11 o'clock. Traffic was horrible. I said, you know what? It has been come.
All day.
There is no rush hour
Traffic is all day in Atlanta.
Yeah. So what made you come to Atlanta? Because you're from the city. You still got your accent.
It's actually watered down now.
Not that much. You still can hear it. When you said all day, you heard it.
Yeah, it's the O's and A's.
Yeah.
I came here in 2014. I got married, and my ex-husband now, he wanted to move to Georgia because he had family here. So I made my way.
And then you just never went back after the divorce?
I didn't like the snow anyway.
Oh, wow.
I never liked the snow.
Yeah. But you was born and raised in New York, right? Brooklyn, to be exact.
I was born in Albany, New York, but I was raised partly in Brooklyn. And I moved back upstate to Syracuse, New York, where my mom was.
And that's definitely a lot of snow upstate.
It's near Buffalo in Canada.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. So you like to be in the Southern Belle now?
I love it here.
You do?
You don't love it?
I'm used to it.
I feel like the weather. It's the weather for me.
To me, you know what I do like about Atlanta is that this is a city where African Americans can really make their way.
That
really
is
can thrive.
exactly
You know,
why I never left.
Yeah, it's nothing really. The only thing to hold you back in Atlanta is yourself. Yeah, because even if people are gatekeepers, it doesn't matter. You end up just being in the right room or at the right place and meeting the right person. Yeah. So nowadays, you like that girl now.
One of them.
Oh, that's cute.
I say one of them. You know, I feel like unity and woman empowerment is something that I live by. So I never want to be the only one. Yeah. So I take my hat off to my fellow sisters like yourself, and I give credit where credit is always due. So.
And that's good. That's a good attitude. Don't we wish like everybody was like that?
Yeah.
It would be. I think we could do so much more together than being divided.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, but you wasn't always like the well put together and well spoken.
No.
You never looked like I've done a thing in my life.
Innocent. Until proven guilty.
So actually, you've been in some trouble before. And how many times you got arrested?
So after I did an interview before this one, my last interview, he asked me that same question. I actually went back and counted. It was 17 times. I got arrested 17 different.
And like, what was that for? Was it rebellion? Was it just wanting to be grown? Like, what would you say it was?
I don't think I ever wanted to be grown. I think I always wanted to be a kid, but unfortunately, you know, I'm from the street. So it was gang life. It was street life. So I ended up being angry. You know, my mom was on drugs. So her lifestyle made me turn to the street. She was in the street. I went in the street behind her. And I used to fight a lot. I used to, my first charge where I actually got charged as an adult was a stolen vehicle. Me and my friends used to go out in the suburbs and the cars used to be unlocked. We used to just take the cars and ride around joyriding.
Just joyriding. Not money, just joyriding.
Not getting a dime.
Yeah.
Just outside. Just outside joyriding. That was my first time I got caught, but I was, you know, selling and dealing drugs before then.
What made you get into selling drugs? And like, how old was you when you first like held your first pack?
14.
And was it like somebody in the hood or just like, do this for me?
So I remember, and it's so unfortunate because the cycle, it started to repeat itself a little bit because I have family members who are from the street. So I always seen drugs around. I seen crack. I seen weed. I used to see pounds and pounds of weed.
Yeah.
Like, I think my first exposure to drugs, aside from crack, when my mom was, on drugs, was I'm in a house and every room has pounds of weed. Like, just every room got pounds of weed in it.
Yeah.
So, it was normal. So when I had got a boyfriend, he was selling drugs. So he kind of put me on, like, if you sell drugs with me, then that's double the income. So that's kind of how that transpired.
And gang life. Like, what made you're such a pretty girl, like, what made you want to get involved in gangs?
I actually was, I come from a family of gangs. So, my experience my exposure growing up was gang life. That protection was always there. When I went into the street, I used to fight a lot, and the OGs would look at me and they always would look out. And then they found out who some of my family members was. So they kind of took me under the wing, and it kind of progressed from there. But I was on my own probably for a good couple of years before that even happened. And then it became my natural, it became my norm.
And you was in a gang from what? How old to when you decide to, like, leave the gang life alone?
13, and then I came home in 2007, had my son in 2008. So when I had my son in 2008, I said I couldn't do it no more.
You was done.
I was done.
Yeah, and how much time did you do, like, in one setting? Like,
19 months.
19 months? And during those 19 months, like, what was your thought process?
Unfortunately, I came home and still was, like, in that lifestyle. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do now as far as telling my testimony and exposing myself is regards to where I've been in life, because I knew nothing outside of the street. I knew nothing outside of gang life. So I came home and went right back to it.
So you didn't have, like, any positive role models around?
At all.
It was nobody you looked up to? Like, even, like, seeing, like, on TV or nothing, it was nobody you aspired to want to be like? Or did you even dream back then when you was younger?
I had no dreams, aspirations. I dropped out of high school, and I got my GED in jail. So I was a minor. Originally, when I started getting arrested, they were sending me to juvenile detention centers. When I turned 16, and thankfully, New York just changed the law to 19 years old. Now you get charged as an adult. It might be 18. But at that time, 16 years old, you're charged as an adult. So when I turned 16, I went to regular jail, and they made me go to school. It was like, either you're going to do your curriculum or you're going to go to a GED program. And at that time, I didn't know when I was coming home, because in the middle of me fighting my case with, I caught a drug charge, crack cocaine with intent to sell. And in that time, I was fighting that case. And then I got released, went back to jail for an assault and a gun charge. And that's when they kept me. And I ended up getting hit with a RICO case while I was in.
So just one thing after the other.
So I didn't know when I was coming home. So I just was advised to get my GED. So that's what I did. So when I got out of jail, I didn't have to go to school. So I had all of this free time, didn't have a real job ever in my life. The money I did have was literally coming from street activity, and I went straight back to it. And I came home on papers.
And you ain't even had no regard of not wanting to go back to where you just came from?
Unfortunately, no. No. I came back, and literally my mother was mad because I had a curfew, and I was breaking curfew like every night. She was threatening me to, like, call my PO and tell my PO that I was outside, because she was afraid that at that time I had so much beef with people. Like, I was getting shot at. I had got stabbed. Like, it was so much stuff going on that she would have rather me be in jail.
Be safe.
Yeah, than to be in the street.
And at this time, was she still on drugs? Or
no, she was clean. My mom actually got clean when I was in jail.
Oh, wow.
So I came home, she was clean.
But you didn't respect the clean version, because you're a hypocrite. How you going to tell me anything?
It's not even that. I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her. And thankfully, my mom has 12 years clean today. But
praise God.
That was the first time because when she came in jail, I talk about this one time she visited me. I started denying everybody's visits. The one time she came to visit me, she was, like, begging me to change. She was like, just please stop. Let this go. You know, you got a lot going for yourself. You know, when you come home, just do right. I was not trying to hear it. And I had all of these excuses. It's like, you was a crackhead, you was this and that. And she looked me in my face and told me, like, she was like, I'm not on drugs no more. Like, I got about a year clean. Like, I've been clean this whole time you've been in jail. And that kind of was like a little inkling of hope there, but I still didn't believe her. Like, when I came home, she was talking to me, and I was like, I haven't had a mother this whole time, so it's like,
You're my mother now.
yeah, I don't need you no more. Like, I wanted a mom, and I never had it, so what can you really tell me at this point?
Was your dad around or no?
My dad was in New York, and my relationship with him at this time was very strained, only because he tried to stop me from getting in trouble. And it's crazy because it was like addictive almost. Like, my loyalty to the street, my loyalty to gang life, my loyalty to my crew was like more important to me than my family. Only because I felt like in those darkest times when I was in the street or I had nowhere to go, those were the people who took care of me. Those were the people who made sure I was good. So when my father was trying to fight for me to, he used to say, come home, just come home, get yourself together. I didn't respect that either. It was like, you've been in and out of prison too. So
you can't tell me anything.
Right.
Do you feel like there was like a brokenness in you?
Very much so. Absolutely. By the time I was 13, when I first started getting arrested, I was already sexually abused. I had already been in foster care where they abused me. I had so many abandonment issues. I was living with my mom and her then boyfriend, who I considered my stepdad. When she would leave out on her runs, me and him was getting into it. It was like really bad. Like, I did not want to listen to anybody. Like, nobody could tell me nothing, for real. Like,
did you feel like you was worthy of, like, being a woman, or did you feel like you just wasn't like you didn't have nothing to live for? Did you ever feel like that?
Absolutely. I think my whole life I felt like that. It was like, fuck it. Like, this all I know. Everybody was dying. I thought I was next, to be honest. I thought I was next. It was like I was living on borrowed time with the thought in my head that I'm going to die at some point in time young, and I had just accepted it. And that sounds so crazy. That sounds very sad. But, again, I had been abused. I had been abandoned. It was so many things that had already happened to me to the point where I just was embracing it. Like, I already knew that you either end up in jail or you end up dead. So when I was in jail and they hit me with attempt murder and all these different charges, I had accepted it then. I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and sit down. I had no idea I was getting out. Thankfully, my RICO charge had got dropped. And then by the time the 19 months had passed and I went to court and they sentenced me for the drug charge, they had lowered it, and then I had got out on time served. So
you didn't even realize that was a blessing, did you?
And youthful offender status, because I was 16.
Right.
I was turning 17, so they honored the youthful offender status.
But it went over your head.
I went straight over my head.
Yeah. How old were you when you were abused?
My first memory of abuse, sexual abuses, molestation, I had to be about 4 or 5 years old. Like, my very first memories as a kid was a grown man sitting me on his lap and molesting me.
And at 5, you really don't know, like, what's wrong or what that is wrong. You don't even realize that it's wrong.
Right.
When did you realize that it was wrong?
When I was actually raped. I was raped at, I estimate, about 8 or 9 years old, only because of the time frame when I came out of foster care to when I was sent back with my mom, and she was pregnant with my sister. So I estimate 8 or 9 years old. That is when I realized it was something wrong, because prior to me actually being raped, molestation was associated with pleasure. So when I was actually raped, that was the first time I felt pain associated with sexual abuse.
And who was your abuser?
An adoptive cousin of my family. My mom, the woman that she left me with, was her best friend, who I consider family. Her sister adopted children into her home, and one of them happened to be my adoptive cousin who used to babysit us.
And did you tell anybody, or you didn't say anything? I
didn't tell anybody until I got older. He had went on to rape somebody else, and he actually had went to jail for it. So I kind of felt safer to talk about it. And then I confronted, well, not confronted, but I told his mom what had happened because she was fighting to get him out of jail. Like, she was spending all kinds of money, about to put her house up and pay another lawyer to get him out of jail because she wanted to believe that that wasn't who her son was. And then I told her, and that's when she left him there. She stopped fighting for him to get out of jail.
Wow. And that, like, during that time, how did you deal with it? Like, holding it in, 8, 9 years old, you young, you process that you know is wrong because it's painful, right? So how did you deal with it? If you didn't tell anybody, you didn't have nobody to go to, how did you deal with that?
I didn't deal with it. He used to threaten, like, my mom was always my weak spot as a kid, and he used that against me. It was like, if you tell somebody I'm going to kill your mother, you're never going to see your mother again. I'm going to make sure your mom dies.
And how much older was he than you? If you could remember.
He was, I think the age difference when I looked at how old he was, he's 9 years older than me.
So he was 18 years old messing with a 9-year-old.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So he threatened to he told me he was going to kill my mom. So I never said anything.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Someone who, I believed them only because it was like, I remember feeling so afraid of him. Like I'm afraid of him. I feel uncomfortable when he's around. It's like, he used to babysit us and I used to be in my room, like, try to stay away from him.
And nobody even noticed.
Nobody noticed. At that point, I think I was like a quiet kid anyway. So it was kind of normal for me to be off to the side.
Yeah.
But no, he used to, as soon as I would hear that he's babysitting us, I would be scared immediately. Because
I can imagine.
He started off molesting me first, and then it turned into the rape, actual rape.
Like penetration. Wow. But like, since you've been older, have you tried to get therapy, or you just
Absolutely.
felt like
therapy is really the reason why I am who I am now. I wouldn't be a fraction of the woman I am if I didn't go to therapy. I'm such an advocate for therapy, especially in the Black community, because it's so helpful.
Right. And what is the stigma? The stigma about therapy?
So when I first started going to therapy, I had to combat with being told what goes on in a Black household stays in a Black household.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I never really talked about some of the things that happened. I actually remember being a kid and going to school and telling people the conditions I was living in, and that's when CPS took us from my mom. So I kind of struggled with that too. Like, if I talk,
never would have said anything.
Something bad is going to happen if I talk about this stuff. But I started to understand therapy and understand mental health a little more and emotional health, to the point where I started to embrace it. I was encouraged by one of my moms when she was in recovery. She's a therapist or a counselor, and she did drug counseling, but she would do regular counseling as well. So she kind of talked me into doing it, and therapy was the first time that I felt open enough to talk about my trauma without being judged for it, without being used against me, and also having the answers to how to deal with it.
And you've been going to therapy for how long?
Consistently, my first therapy session, I had to be like 15. I started going with my mom. It didn't really work. And then I revisited it as an adult, probably around 2012, and have been going ever since.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because you're able to sit here now and just with such an ease and just a peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To talk about the hurt and the trauma, like, and you can still see that you have a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Over yourself. Yeah. And so now, do you go and you help others to try to overcome, like, the trauma they've been through, the things that they're facing?
I do. My whole life is ministry.
Talk about it.
My whole life is ministry.
Yeah.
Because I give glory to God in everything that I do.
Yeah.
Simply because I've survived some of my darkest days to get to this point. I wake up every morning, and to have a sense of peace, to have a sense of self-worth, to have a sense of value, and know that I'm placed here on this earth for a purpose, considering everything that I've been through. It did not take me out. you know, I'm still able to give love and light to the world. And that's just one of the things that I know God put me here for. So I say my whole life is ministry. Everything that I do has to have the premise and the foundation of being able to pour into somebody's heart, being able to pour into somebody's life, and be a vessel to whoever it is around me, even somebody at a grocery store that I could just, you know, talk to for 2 seconds.
Too. Yeah.
That is just who God has made me to be, and everything I do is ministry in regards to that. I do jail ministry, so I go to the jails every month, and I talk to the inmates.
Prisoners. Yeah, I hate inmates. I hate that word. I hate that word.
Why?
Because that's like a, you know, being in prison and doing time, you know, that's like a derogatory, a derogatory term, you know? And so basically, especially like when someone is trying to demean you, you know, they won't call you by your name. They'll say inmate.
Yeah,
you
with
know
your number.
Yeah, inmate, you know, such and such. And I had a real bad problem. And any officer, any institution, they'll tell you, I used to tell them, if you see an inmate, smack an inmate. Either call me my last name or don't say nothing to me.
Right.
Period, point blank. You know, so that's why I'm just like a stickler about that word. Yeah, prisoner, not inmate. But go ahead. You go once a month to see the prisoners.
Yep, I go once a month to see them. I talk to them. I you know, give them the word of God, and I just allow them to see something different. Because I feel like when I was in jail, when I was behind the wall, it just was like nobody came to show us different. So I feel like going back and being able to tell them, like, you don't have to just let this be your end-all, be-all. Like, you can go to school when you get out. You can have a healthy family. You can, you know, reconstruct your communication skills, even down to that, like the small stuff, like the attitude, the mindset, the outlook. I feel like that is so essential for people to be exposed to so they don't have to go back to that lifestyle when they come home. Because I feel like if somebody would have came and talked to me when I was in jail and said, you can go to college, I'm the first college graduate in my family. Like, there's nobody else besides my sister who went after I went to school. I got a nursing certificate. You know, she went to Howard. She's the first HBCU college graduate. So, you know, my family.
Y'all changed the trajectory of the family.
Yeah, like,
and that's
you know,
big. Yeah.
So even somebody being able to tell me that, like, you can go to college, you know, you don't have to leave here and come back. Like,
but do you think you would have been receptive? Because really, your mom came to you and trying to tell you that she had changed and she wanted you to go another route, but you didn't want to hear it.
You want to know why?
Why?
She never was somewhere I wanted to go. That's the difference. I feel like role models and people who have impact and influence, it is our job and our duty to go look the black girl that look just like us in the face and say, you might not be able to relate to them, but you can relate to me because I've been where you are.
Yeah.
So the each one teach one, I'm so big on that because the representation, you know what I'm saying? Like, being able to look at somebody and see yourself in them, that is the most important thing when it comes to actually being a role model and having influence and impact. You could talk to somebody all day, but unless they see you in them, it's not gonna work. Yeah,
I definitely agree that wholeheartedly. Like, I always tell the kids when I go talk to them, like before I leave, or even not even before I leave. Sometime throughout me talking to them, I tell them I love you, and I don't even know you, and I know y'all thinking like she don't love me, but I tell them you look just like me. You look like my son. We're one. So, you know, I try to put that in their head so they can see, because some kids never even hear somebody say, I love you.
Right.
And I make it my business, too, to hug them, each and every one of them, even the ones that try to be stiff, you know, the boys that try to be hard and all that. And even when I go to the prison, I don't hug the men just because I feel like it's inappropriate. We do like the arm, you know, we do the arm thing or whatever. But even with the women in the prison, I hug them too, just to get a sense. I want you to know that I'm real, that you feel my flesh, that, and you know, I sat where you sat. I wore those shower shoes. I know what it feels like, but look at me now, you know. So that's definitely your ministry, and what you provide and what you say to them. That's definitely true. It's definitely true.
I go in there with my hoodie. I put my mugshot on a hoodie.
Oh, okay.
So when I go in there, I need them to see, like, all this glitz and glam and all of this pretty girl stuff. Like, I just got this way. Like, I grew into who I am today. I grew up a tomboy. I used to wear baggy clothes and I always had my hair done.
All the fresh sneakers.
I used to, all the Jordans, right? Yeah. So, you know, I just feel like I go in there, I put my hoodie with my mugshot on them, so they know, like, this is real. Like, I'm not in here. I'm not capping. I'm not trying to, you know, tell you a story. Like, this me. Like, this is who I am. And although I'm not proud of what I've done, I'm proud of what I got through.
How did you pivot? Where did you make the pivot at?
My son.
Oh, in 2008 when you had your son.
My son is the reason why I changed my life. My son is, I got scared when I got pregnant. I feel like, because I didn't want kids. I used to say, I was on birth control my whole, like, active sex life. Like, I was like, I ain't with all of that. My friends was getting pregnant left and right. I didn't want no kids.
Yeah.
I wasn't even mentally prepared for no kids, and I was very serious about it. So when I got pregnant, I just was like, this is scary. Like, I don't ever want my child to go through none of what I went through. And that was like the first time I ever in my life thought about somebody else but myself. I had to protect it. It was like, and then when I found out it was a son, it was even worse. Because it was like,
boys,
black
boy.
like our black men,
yeah.
our black men have it very hard. So it was
endangered
like,
species,
exactly that. So I felt so compelled to do something different. Like, I went to nursing school when my son was 3 weeks, postpartum. Like, I'm breastfeeding, I'm pumping and leaving bottles and going to school and getting a nursing certificate because I did not. That's how motivated I was to do something different. I was like, I can't stay on food stamps. I can't stay on housing. I can't stay in the hood. Like, I gotta figure this out because I don't want my son to be in this environment. Right.
So do you ever pinch yourself or look in the mirror and just be like, I'm really her? Or you don't, or are you one of those that, like, don't give yourself enough credit?
As of late, I think I realized I dumb myself down a lot.
Yeah.
And then I've run into other people
who do the same thing,
who tell me who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'll run into somebody and they'll tell me, like, just actually a couple days ago, I went to the grocery store. Somebody was like, you Dental Bay? Because that used to be my old handle, Dental Bay. Like, oh my God, you're Dental Bay? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, thank you so much for your posts. They're always positive. You know, I think the one thing I put in my head is that there's always somebody watching. Even if you don't think they're watching, there's always somebody watching. And I made it a point to I don't big myself up. Like, I want my roots and my purpose to show for what it is, and I want other people to feel that. Like, I don't ever want to come off as arrogant or a big deal, but
no, but you have to give yourself credit.
I give myself credit now.
Okay, yeah, you have to give yourself credit because if not, then you'll find yourself feeling like you don't belong in a room.
That's exactly where I was going with it.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So now I feel like I know who I am. I'm proud of who I am. Yeah. And I'm going to confidently show up as her, like as the person and the woman that I've grown into, because there is so much beauty in the journey, and there's so much beauty that I find in myself when I look in the mirror, especially considering that a lot of my dark days could have took me out.
Right.
I see people, they're so broken. They are accustomed to so many dark traits and their heart is cold. I still give love and light, and that's my favorite flex. Like, being able to
give love and light.
Yes, being able to, even when people wrong me. Like, I just had a situation recently where somebody tried to tear me down, like another woman tried to tear me down. I don't know if you see my last post. I did a post where I embraced all my flaws. I said,
I saw it. Go ahead, talk about it,
I'm not perfect. I never want anybody to look at me and think I'm perfect. So I went on the internet with the same material that a young lady tried to use and thought that she was going to tear me down. And I embraced it. I went right on the internet in front of 80,000 people. Right. And I told them, yes, my breasts sag outside of a bra. Yes, I've made poor decisions in my life. I've made poor choices in men before. I'm no different than the person reading this. And it is what it is. Like, I love all of me today. Like, wholeheartedly. From the flaws that I used to be insecure about. I used to be bullied growing up from me even being brown skin or dark skin, brown skin girl. Like, that was frowned upon.
because it wasn't cool when we was coming up.
It wasn't cool.
And the first thing they call you black, BITCH, or they call
monkey
it
or
a tar
something.
baby.
Yep.
What else? A smutty.
Yep.
Yeah.
And guess what? We lit.
All the way,
lit.
all the
Now
way,
we're
all the way. I be
lit.
like,
So-
but you know what I used to love to tell them? Blacker is the berry, sweet as the juice. When it
Yep.
gets your color, it ain't no use.
Yep. So I love that. I love who I am today. I look in the mirror and I understand me. And if it's something I don't like, usually the things about me that I don't like are the things that are changeable. Like my communication. Like when I started to grow more as a woman and I realized those generational curses, one of them for me was verbal abuse. I used to nasty mouth, nasty attitude, just talking to people crazy. And when I started to really look at myself and unpack myself, that was something that I did not like. That's one of the things I looked at. I was like, that's ugly. So when I look at myself now and there's things I want to change about me, it's stuff like that. It's not typically my heart or, anything physical. It's literally something that I need to work on as far as self-development.
We need to do, you know what I just thought about just here sitting there?
What?
And you just said that about communication. We need to do like a children's book about being dark-skinned.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we really should.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we should do it doesn't even have to be like super long. Something for young girls, because when you said, while we sitting here talking and I'm listening to you, looking at you, taking it in, but it was like you said a couple key things. You said bullied when you was young, and you talked about most of it being like colorism. And what a lot of people don't realize, even within our own race, there's racism with the different shades. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why when people try to talk to me about racism, let's correct it within our own community first. Then we can get to outside, because there's a lot. But I think we should do a book for young girls, like
I'm okay
Chocolate
with that.
Girls.
I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm so big on woman empowerment. It's just like, you are my sister. Like, what I tell you when we first met, it's my kinfolk.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you are my sister. I view other women as either you're a tribe member, either you're my sister, or you're a sister in passing. And I'm going to give love to all three. It doesn't matter if I know you. It doesn't matter if you just met me yesterday. Like, I treat people with integrity at all times, because, again, I know what it's like to be the outsider. I know what it's like to feel like you don't belong. I know what it's like for people to judge you, misunderstand you. I never want somebody else to feel that way, especially a black woman.
How did you find your relationship with God? Like, through all that, because sometimes when we go through like the darkest moments in our life and we feel like things aren't fair, right? The abuse at 5, being raped at 8 or 9 years old, mom being addicted to drugs. You get what I'm saying? Having to live from pillar to post, ended up in foster care. It could easily be like, oh, there can't be a God, because why is he allowing this to happen to me? So how did you come into your spirituality? Like, how did you build your relationship with God?
I think I always knew somebody had my back. Like, I don't know. I've had near-death situations. Like, mind-blowing. I got into a car accident, and they had to cut me out of the car, and I walked away. Like, or I'm in a spot somewhere, and something in me said leave, and then as soon as I leave,
something
the
happens.
spot gets shot up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or even down to the point where in my abuse, even in the times of me being abused, something in me was like, this is not who you are. Like, don't let this, it's just a small voice, right? So as I got older, and I had, my stepdad was in church. He used to force me to go to church. I feel like something stuck at one point in time. I used to go to church and go to sleep. Like, I'm not gonna hold you.
Girl, I would have got a whooping. I went to sleep.
This man did not care about nothing. He'd be like, I don't care if you go to sleep, as long as you in church.
Right.
So I used to go to church and go to sleep. And I remember I got saved. This is my first time telling this story. So I don't do drugs. That was never my thing. I used to frown upon it because I watched my mom struggle with addiction. Like, I've seen people smoke crack and shoot up in front of me. And I've seen, my friend's mom turn into a zombie and then essentially died from an overdose. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so drugs was never my thing. The one time I tried weed, I actually had weed that was laced with something. It ended up going to the hospital. And I remember, like, my brain wasn't like I wasn't myself, but I was trying. It was like I'm trying to think coherently, but it wasn't working. Like I had no control over my body, like whatsoever. Like I was having spasms. I was saying things I didn't want to say. I was hallucinating. It was terrible. I found out it was embalming fluid. They dipped the weed in embalming fluid.
Dip? That's a DC thing. Yeah.
I never touched drugs after that, but when I came back, I went to church and got saved. I just remember that's the first time I ever prayed, and I was like, God, please restore my sanity. That's what I kept thinking to myself. And again, it's like you're trapped inside a body, but you can't control your body. Like it was so weird.
Like an out of body experience.
It was an outer body experience, and I remember that was my first time praying and saying, God, please restore my sanity. Please, I don't know what you got, because I was listening to the doctors tell my mom she might not come back. Like, she might be stuck like this. And I remember hearing it, and I was so stuck trying to control my arms and my legs, and my mom makes a reference saying I was flopping around like a fish. It was so bad. That was the first time I prayed. And when I finally mellowed out and I came back, I went to church and got saved.
And haven't looked back since.
I have not looked back since.
And you understand the responsibility with your gifts? You understand this great responsibility?
Elaborate.
Like, do you understand, like, the gifts that you have? You are responsible. That there comes great responsibility with the gifts that God has instilled in you. Yeah. You share them. You said it. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, like, you understand because you said your whole life now is ministry.
Everything I do is ministry.
Yeah.
Everything I do is ministry, because I could cry right now even talking about it. Like, God is so heavy. He's so heavy on my life. And there are times where I wanted to die. I embraced death because I wanted to die. I faced some of my darkest days, like suicidal. I had postpartum depression with my daughter, and I wanted to kill myself. And the only reason why I didn't was because I had to breastfeed, and I didn't want to leave my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had to pray my way up out of that stuff. I had to get on my knees and say, God, take this out of my spirit. Take this out of my mind. Keep me, protect me. Save me from hurt, harm, or danger, seen and unseen. In your mighty name. Like, those days where I'm begging for him to put somebody in my life. God, why am I feeling like I'm by myself? Why do I feel like I got to go through these struggles by myself? Where's my tribe? Where's my help? Just touch out to me in some way and let me know that you didn't forget about me. And I kid you not, every single time he came through. Every single time. And then, again, the near-death situations. I could have died a few times. My ex-boyfriend got shot right in front of me. From me fighting. He's with me, and I'm fighting, and he gets shot point-blank range right in front of me.
Did he survive?
Yeah, he did. He survived. But he lives today with a bullet shell in his chest. Too close to an artery to be removed. So, stuff like that. It's just God shows up so many times. Like, even when I was homeless, I remember to the dime. Like, I needed a certain amount of money. Like, if I needed $82.50 to get this bill paid, or to get a leftover deposit to get a crib, like, I would somehow end up with $82.50, the dime, like, to the penny.
And how grateful are you for your father? Like, how grateful are you for God?
You want me to sing? Listen, I'm blessed. I lack nothing. Every day I wake up with gratitude, because I remind myself he chose me. Many are called, few are chosen.
Yes.
And he shows up in every way. And now when stuff happens, it's so crazy because everybody thinks I'm like nonchalant about stuff. I just be like, it'll work out. And it always does.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for who God is in my life and who he has shown me to be in his kingdom and what he continues to do through me.
Right.
Like my fruit, right? The Bible talks about fruits and seeds and harvests and things, right? When it comes to my fruit, I want my fruit to always be reflective of what he has done in my life first and foremost. So when I'm ministering or I'm getting messages of people telling me I saved their life, or they signed up for school because they see my post, or, you know, they went and got therapy because I talked about therapy on my live, or, you know, they reconnected with their mom because they see my relationship with my mom or my dad, like, that is my fruit speaking for itself.
Right.
But that is an extension of God's grace and glory and what he has done through me in my own direct life, so that I can go out and be a vessel to everybody else. And that's the name of my nonprofit. My nonprofit is called Vessels of Victory.
Vessels of Victory? That's cute.
He gave me that name.
Vessels of Victory.
Vessels of Victory. Yeah.
Yeah. That's dope. And your nonprofit is geared towards?
So originally it was supposed to be for kids, but it's to everybody. It's I'm in the street doing whatever it is, whether I can, in the vessel part is being that extension between A and point B of for somebody. So whether it's me doing resourceful fundraisers and getting money to give to the homeless people, you know, care packages and things, or turkey drives and Christmas and whatever it is, I always want to excel in the department of ministry when it comes to helping and reaching other people. So it's no age limit on it.
Yeah.
There's no age limit.
And what else are you doing now? Like, currently, like, what else do you do?
I do a lot.
I know. Tell us about it. You can't just say I do a lot. Like, you have to tell them.
So when I get this question, I never know where to begin because it's like so many things.
I know the credit.
Like I
mean, just
stuff.
tell.
So
you know.
I just recently embarked into financial literacy. I think, again, ministry. I feel like the things that I didn't know growing up as far as credit and how powerful credit is and home ownership, I come from the brown food stand.
Yeah.
Like, they got these cards now. I don't know about this car.
Paper.
I come from the paper brown food stamp era, right? And that's like a custom in our black community. So now I've branched into financial literacy. I'm embarking on being able to teach people credit and what it looks like to have credit leverage. People who have businesses or want businesses and don't know that they don't have to fund it out of their own pocket. Like, there's a series of so many different avenues that other people use, other races use when it comes to building business and generational wealth. And I also sell life insurance. I just feel like these are tools and kits and things that we need as a black community for us to move forward to leave a legacy behind for our children.
Right.
Like, I never want to leave this earth and my kids got to struggle with figuring out, my family got to figure out who's going to come up with the money to bury me.
Trying to do a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Selfish.
Yeah.
Sell dinners.
Yeah. Like, I want to be able to teach other people how to do generational wealth building for themselves and for their legacy of their children. So my son is 15. He's going to have good credit by the time he's 18. He's already embarking into his first business with e-commerce at 15. So that type of thing.
Yeah.
So anything from fixing personal credit, building business credit, getting you business funding ready, helping you change your mindset and your relationship when it comes to how you handle your money and being a good stewardess over money. That's really important. Yeah. I think
that's the foundation of it.
Very much so. I feel like black people, we think, I'm going to speak for myself. I ain't going to speak for the whole collective, but I'm going to speak for myself. The gap between feeling like if I make more, I can spend more, right? The investment part of money and making your money multiply, right, is something that we lack as a community. Like, you get extra money, I'm gonna go get them that pair of shoes.
Oh yeah, we want to be fly.
Right. It's not wrong with being fly, but at some point we gotta be fly with the money. Yeah. Like, I want old money. I want in a couple years, 10 more years, I want to look back and be like, oh, I could spend that now. It's old money. Yeah. Just sitting there. I want old money. Yeah. So I do that. I have the jail ministry stuff. I go back and forth to the jails. I speak at the jails. I do fundraising for that too. I put money on the books to some of the inmates with the women.
Some of the prisoners.
I'm sorry. Some of the prisoners. I'm a private pilot.
That's what I was, you know what? That's what I wanted to know. I seen you like, so like you a real pilot, like you can fly in everything? Yeah. I thought I seen that on your, that was something that I meant to like write down as a mental note. So how did you become a private pilot?
I'm real big on stepping outside the box. Like I want to be an anomaly. Yeah. I want to, like if I see too many people doing, I don't even want to do it. Like I want to do something else. And I just am tapping into my God-fearing ability to break barriers. Like,
Yeah.
so when I was younger, I always wanted to be a pilot. Like, I talk about it all the time, how my foster mother, one of my foster mothers, she took me to Disneyland. We got on a plane. My first plane ride was to Disney. And she took me up there. She told the pilot. They showed me all this stuff. I remember looking at the clouds out the window and just like, wow, like this is real. That's like my favorite childhood memory. So when I got older, I started researching it. Like, how much does this cost? Like, can I really do it? And I just went and did it. So
you a nurse, a pilot?
I'm a former LPN.
Yep. Former LPN.
I no longer do nursing. Kudos to the nurses. If you do nursing, I can't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Nurse, pilot. You used to do something in the dentist world too, didn't you?
I was a dental assistant. I moved forward to going to dental school. Ended up declining my seat because I couldn't leave the state because of my child. I have children. It was either leave them and then by the time the divorce would have been finalized, the window would have been closed anyway. So decided to put down the back burner. But I managed dental offices and built them from the ground up, staffing and
Okay. Big dog. Woof.
Big meat, not the little one.
Yeah. Wow, that's dope. That's really dope. You really dope.
And then I went to college. First college graduate of my family.
Yeah.
Bachelor's degree in health science with a minor in psychology, cum laude with honors.
Oh, excuse me.
Listen, you gotta put
the. The girl came out with a 3.8. But she did come out.
Yes.
She might have graduated and went on to federal prison, but she came out with a 3.8.
That's work you put in.
Yeah.
That deserves honor.
Yeah.
So
what is next?
What is next?
Yeah, what's next?
I want a big girl business.
Like what?
I don't know yet. I want a big girl business. So I have my nonprofit that I'm focusing on. I'm manifesting that, and my goal with that, which is going to happen, I'm focusing on that first, actually. I want to have a facility for transition for prisoners.
Oh, yeah.
I want to be able to have them come and have the resources. I, again, want to be that vessel for them, so where they come and be reintroduced into society, they have all the resources to succeed. They got counseling, they have housing, they have whatever it is that they need in order to literally move on and, be a better person in a society.
I don't know if you've seen it, but like the city, the mayor and them are like doing these houses. Have you seen them? For homeless. And they got like a shower, one room, a sink, and all that for them. And I remember sending the reel to Ashana, the girl that, owned the building. I told her, I was like, Shauna, when I get my cute coin, this is what we're going to do, but we're going to do it for people coming home from prison. Because I don't know if you know or not, but like me with my 9-to-5 job, we bond people out of jail who can't afford to bond themselves out. And I'm a client support specialist. So what I do is help you.
That is so dope.
Yeah, I help the people get back, reintegrate, find them resources and everything. But the number one problem here in Georgia is housing.
Right.
Housing. And a lot of people reoffend and go back, not because they want to, but because they don't have nowhere to lay their head.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, the transition,
So I'm looking into transitional facility for them. And that's just something that I meet people on a daily. And, like, even halfway houses, they're, like, got all these stipulations now for qualification. And it's like, if we don't got the space in 2 months. But what about the man who comes home and his background is so crazy that he can't get a job?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the other options? So I want them to be able to come home and have that security, so where when they move forward and they leave our facility, they're
able to be successful, to be victory,
right.
Be victorious.
Right,
yeah,
that vessel of victory.
Yeah, that's dope. Okay, so this is Break Free Podcast, so before you leave, you have to tell me something that you're in bondage to and need to break free from.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't.
You in my business,
sis. Yeah.
You in my business.
Yeah, I am.
Something that I'm in bondage with and have to break free from. So, I'm fasting currently. I've been fasting from alcohol. It's been 4.5 months.
Oh, and you absent. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah,
You're not having sex.
No.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to break. I didn't mean to. But see, now it's coming back to me. That's why I should have had my notes. But go ahead. So you said you've been fasting.
I'm fasting. And the bondage that I feel that I struggle with the most is two of them. One of them is being in contact with people that don't value me, right? I feel like that's something that I'm still healing from. And, you know, I have a tattoo that says, go where the love is, right? And I feel like especially as women, sometimes we repeat habits that we know are not good. And I'm working through that.
Yeah.
So my fast from alcohol and abstinence, you know, is for me. It's for me to honor myself, honor my boundaries, honor my standards, and stand on business, like, and mean it without altering who I am for somebody else.
Right, right.
You know, the people pleasing is what it is.
But do you realize, like, life is still okay without drinking, without having sex?
I actually go places. So the whole holiday season, I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
So I'm watching everybody drinking. I'm watching everybody have a good time. And it's the first time that I actually was present, right? Because we go to these places and we take ourselves out of the presence with drugs and alcohol, whether it's weed, whatever it is. We can't really take in where we are because we are under the influence of something. So this was the first holiday season that I actually, like, sat back and enjoyed conversation with my family and really indulged in that contact communication with them.
Yeah. I'm not a drinker either, and I haven't been having sex. Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
Oh, it's fine. Girl, let me tell you something.
It gets easier as it goes.
My main thing is that I can easily say is I went 14 years without, so it doesn't even make me no number mind.
Right.
Yeah, but not drinking because, you know, I was getting stuff into the prison and
yeah.
But I mean, like with drinking, it doesn't bother me because I'm not a drinker anyway. Like I drink wine, you know.
Man, I was lit.
It's about, but like as far as like drinking, like if it's somebody's birthday. If it's one of my friends' birthday and we go to dinner and everybody say they're going to take a shot, okay, I'll do that. But I'm not you was what?
Old fashions.
That's what you drunk?
Yes, I'm a bourbon girl.
Oh, yeah, you drink.
Yeah. So she got hair on her chest. No, for real.
Girl, I would have never known. You hear me? I would have never known.
So that, and then my second bondage would be not second guessing myself.
Right.
Not, you know, feeling like that imposter syndrome.
Oh, you must have seen my reel that I put up the other day. You have to see it
it's
because
the imposter syndrome for me.
I found myself in that situation like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wait a minute. How dare I let somebody devalue? You can't devalue me, you know, but it had me second guessing myself. But we do that because I think we get to a place and it's like, wait a minute. You know, feel like we got to shrink ourselves down.
I'm good off of that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so good off of that. Like, I think since the ball dropped, I'm on Cat Williams meme time.
Yeah.
Because I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't know. I'm getting to a place of being comfortable with not being liked.
Yeah.
I'm getting to a place of not needing the approval of other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I checking your opinion when you're not even valid? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
It don't
like,
even matter. The people that you feel like you need their approval,
they're
not even doing
valid.
it. Yeah.
Like, you can't validate me because you're not valid.
Yeah.
So, you know, that type of thing. I feel like this is the first time in my life where I feel whole. I feel whole.
Yeah.
Without the additives. Like, I don't need nothing else. I don't need a nice car. I don't need a big old house. I don't need the likability of whoever. Like, I go to sleep at night and I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm cool. Like, I'm just like, yeah.
That's what's
and
up.
I go into these rooms now and I'm like, I'm her. Like,
ha, 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 ha.
I'm humble.
The big H.
But I'm whole.
Yeah.
I don't lack anything.
Yeah.
I lack nothing.
I know that's right. I lack nothing. There y'all have it. You heard it. JB, baby. Lacks nothing. Guys, this has been another dope episode. I pray that y'all enjoyed yourself as I enjoyed myself. Jameeka, I want to thank you so much for coming by.
Me.
No, thank you
Let
for
me
coming.
tell you something while we on camera.
Yes.
I love you.
I love you too.
But let me tell you why.
Why?
I feel like you are bridging the gap for women who haven't been seen, right? you see me, and I appreciate you for that. And you see every guest that you have on this platform, and I just want to encourage you to keep going. And I want to let you know that God has a special place for you, because what you're doing might not be easy, but where you're going is very greater. It's not about you. It's about the other people that you are going to continue to touch. And I want you to know that God sees you too.
You trying to make me cry?
I'm not trying to make you cry.
Yeah, you trying to make me cry. You trying to make me cry.
He sees you too, boo. And I'm proud of you. When I first found your page, I was like, oh my God. Like, I told you, I look at you, I said, this is my sister.
Yeah.
This is my sister, because it's not easy doing ministry. And this is a ministry, and I love the fact that you included God in this platform.
Yeah, had to.
I appreciate that, because a lot of people, they want to water it out. They want to think they did something, but you give glory to God in everything that you do, and I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, girl, I could not, I always say it over and over again, but I say it again. Like, when I was in prison, I knew I would get out. I didn't know when, but I used to always tell God, God, when you deliver me, I'll let the world know that it was you. Yeah, and that's just what it is. You know, I ain't ashamed of my God.
He's proud. Yeah. He's proud.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate you. And we got a book to write.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Well, guys, y'all see she done came and just like took over, gave a word and everything. Well, remember, it's always delusion until they see it happen. I'll see y'all next time. Join me on the next episode of Break Free Podcast. And this episode was brought to you by The Heirs Agency, a full-service marketing firm noted in entertainment and culture.